A historic farewell unfolded on Saturday in the Vatican City as tens of thousands of mourners gathered at St. Peter's Square for the funeral of Pope Francis, the first Latin American leader of the Catholic Church and a tireless advocate for the poor. The beloved pontiff passed away on Monday at the age of 88, bringing to an end a 12-year papacy that many viewed as a turning point towards a more inclusive and compassionate church. Crowds began gathering overnight, with some camping out to secure a place at the solemn ceremony. World leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, were among the dignitaries in attendance. Over the past 3 days, more than 250,000 people filed through St. Peter's Basilica to pay their final respects. Today's funeral is expected to draw as many as 200,000 mourners. With over 50 heads of states present, Italian and Vatican authorities launched a large-scale security operation to ensure the smooth running of the emotional farewell to a pope who left a profound and lasting legacy on the global stage. And for more on this, we're joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen, that has been doing a wonderful job covering the event, by the way, and she will be giving us a quick rundown of the day's events. Afia, thank you so much for joining us once again. Can you summarize the key moments from today's funeral ceremony?
A very solemn day here in Rome for the funeral of Pope Francis. Look, there were so many key moments for me personally. I think, walking down towards St. Peter's Basilica, towards St. Peter's Square, the amount of people, now the authorities here in Rome have estimated that perhaps 450,000 people turned out, 50,000 people in St. Peter's Square alone, to see Pope Francis laid to rest. I think seeing the world leaders and the dignitaries who were gathered there in alphabetical order, apart from the Prime Minister of Italy and the President of Argentina, to see them all gathered there in that square, to see the cardinals in the sea of red as well. During the service, you had a ripple of applause when you had the cardinal who was taking the service, Giovanni Battista Re, when he talked about, Pope Francis and his love for inclusivity and justice. There was some applause all around where we were at St. Peter's Square as people really agreed with that. That was a really key moment for me as well. And I just think seeing the breadth and the depth of the people who were there, you had children, families, lots of groups of kids, of scouts, people that had come from far and wide. We met people from Canada, from Britain, from Ghana, from Nigeria, lots of different people coming together to celebrate the man who they called father. He really was a pope for the people.
Well, I see you've done a bit of description of the situation there, but then how do you think that the crowd from the different parts of the world who are present at this funeral are taking this in?
That's a good question. I think there was a lot of sadness. We saw people openly crying in the streets. I think that people really relished being part of an incredible part of history, because that's what this is. How many times in a lifetime will you see a pope being interred in this way, being buried in this way? And so people really were soaking up the atmosphere and really relishing being a part of history. And there was a lot of sadness, but also a lot of people remembering that this was an opportunity to celebrate the life of Pope Francis, someone who was a pope of first, the first pope from Argentina, the first pope from the global south, the first Jesuit pope, the first pope not to be raised in Italy. All these firsts were really important and really significant. So it really was a chance to celebrate those firsts as well.
So what about the world leaders in attendance? Any notable takeaways and what their presence might signal?
Yes, I mean, like you said, you had over 50 world leaders, members of royalty from royal families across Europe and the world there, seated in alphabetical order, like I said. I think notable taking away when we're talking about world leaders is that meeting that happened between President Trump of the United States and Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine. We saw them seated together in the Vatican having a discussion, and then we saw them with Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and Keir Starmer, prime minister of the United Kingdom. We had some pictures of them having a discussion. Zelensky said that the discussions that were had could be historic. Afterwards, President Trump criticizing Vladimir Putin, something that he hasn't really done lately. And he's kind of been perhaps on Russia's side, so to speak, but I think that was absolutely notable that in this solemn occasion that diplomacy was done, and I think that's something that Pope Francis would have wanted. He was very vocal about his want for wars to end, and I think if sides could have a discussion in this way, they were brought together almost because of him, I think that's something he certainly would have been pleased about.
Afia Egan, thank you so much for sharing these updates with us. We appreciate that. And away from that, an industrial truck accident occurred on Agege Bridge in Lagos State on Saturday after seemingly experiencing mechanical failure over the bridge. Eyewitness accounts describe the truck struggling to maintain control for several seconds before plummeting off the bridge and hitting a commercial bus underneath the bridge. While there were no fatalities recorded, the truck driver sustained a dislocated arm and was promptly transported to Ilepo General Hospital in Agege for medical treatment. We have more in this report.
I dropped passenger at the side of the bridge, under the bridge. So I just turned. So I'm going back to Songo. So I just saw everybody running. So I saw the truck coming from the up. So everybody was running. So I don't know what to do next. So I just left my motor and ran away also. After a minute, we just saw the Scania vehicle just fell down. And we thank God for life. It's only the driver were injured. And most of us will run to the driver, they take him to the hospital. Before all these Lasema, whatever, and last man and police were around, come closer.
And a group of concerned Lagos residents under the banner of Tenants Watch Lagos have staged a protest to express their grievances over the soaring cost of house rents and the unchecked activities of uncertified real estate agents, commonly referred to as agents. The demonstrators marched from Ikeja to the Lagos State House of Assembly to formally present their demands. They called on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the Lagos State House of Assembly to urgently intervene by regulating house rents and curbing the operations of illegal and unlicensed real estate practitioners across the state.
We are protesting to Lagos State House of Assembly, for the House of Assembly and even to the governor's office, that they should just help us arrange this thing very well, because the rate that all these agents are increasing all this house rent, house agreement and commission is getting out of hand. When house is 800,000, agreement and commission must be 40-40, which is 80,000.
The commission agreement of 18 had several experiences, to talk about it. It's alarming, it's killing people. Everything is all about government, and individual thing now, the way I see it. So it already happened to me too. I wanted to get an apartment at Jojo Elegba, the apartment, 2-bedroom flat with 3 toilets, quite nice. It's going for ₦1 million. Then the agent in charge told me agreement and commission damages ₦1 million. Total package of ₦2 million. That's killing. That is not it at all.
When you come to my estate, in our Badisha estate, that's where I live. So our own ESCO member invite agents for our estates. They have meeting with them, collaborate with them, calling house owners to increase their rents. Like my owners from ₦2 million to ₦3 million right now, from 2M to ₦3 million.
There's a difference between agents and the rector. You understand? It's this agent that we don't want. I know director is an occupation, you are trained for it. and you are certified and you have your office. But funny enough, most of these guys, now they be director, but now they go to employ agents, make them they help them, they do nonsense. So it's the agents we don't want. We don't want agents.
Let's now tell you that tragedy has struck Nigeria's northwestern state of Zamfara, where gunmen have launched a deadly raid on an artisanal gold mining site, leaving at least 19 people dead. The attack occurred around midday on Friday when armed bandits stormed the site, killing 19 individuals, including 5 vigilantes who had been providing security for the miners. A mining official, Yahaya Gobrawa, confirmed that 14 miners were killed instantly, while others later died from the injuries due to severe bleeding. The violence forms part of a wider pattern of attacks across Zamfara and neighboring states, where criminal gangs known locally as bandits have continued to terrorize communities. These groups are responsible for widespread violence and a surge in kidnappings throughout the region. In response to the escalating insecurity, the Zamfara state government launched the Zamfara Community Guards last year, deploying over 5,000 personnel in an effort to protect local communities. Relatedly, a major rescue operation has brought 231 Nigerians back home after they were trafficked to Ghana and forced into cybercrime. While most are victims, some have been identified as suspects linked to the criminal network. The Central's Oluwakemi Alimi reports.
A quiet return, but a powerful story of survival. 231 Nigerians have arrived in Lagos after being rescued from a cybercrime trafficking ring in Ghana. The rescue was a joint operation involving Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office, Nigeria's National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, and the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission.
On the 28th March, we received a complaint from an informant alleging that a group of people suspected to be Nigerians have brought in victims to their apartments, and that they are using them to engage in prohibited cyber activities. So they called on the office to assist in their arrest and then prosecution.
According to NAPTIP, 204 of the returnees have been confirmed as victims, young men trafficked under false pretenses and coerced into cyber scams. 27 others are suspected of playing roles in coordinating the criminal activities. The victims will receive medical treatment, counseling, and reintegration support, while the suspects will be handed over to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for further investigation and prosecution.
Ensure that most of them that are sick, they are stated after profiling them, and we provide drugs for them. If it is fever, headache, or any form of sickness, we attend to them. These victims were being trafficked, and they were used for internet fraud, as per the letter we got from the Ghanaian government.
It's something that ECOWAS has to take very seriously. Because of this free movement of persons, people take things for granted. So it's really something that has to be taken up more seriously by the whole of the ECOWAS community.
It was an emotional moment as some of the victims shared their harrowing experiences.
Yes, Percy took me to Ghana last year, June. That is where I entered Ghana. I want to go to school and graduate from university.
I needed the capital to start my own shop. So that was when I met one guy that went there. So he told me that there was work there, but he never told me the actual work they were doing there. So when we got there, the work they were doing there, I discovered that they were just operating computers. Then I started to ask questions. Then they told me that if I don't actually want to do the work, I should pay my transport back home. My eyes, because of steady looking on the system, I can't see where right now.
For now, the rescued individuals remain in the care of NAPTIP, undergoing rehabilitation. Authorities are warning Nigerians to remain cautious of overseas job offers that seem too good to be true. a stark reminder of the dangers of human trafficking and the urgent need for greater awareness and vigilance. In Lagos, for News Central, Oluwakemi Alimi.
We'll now go on a short break on the news. When we return, in Katsina State, Ajiwa chili pepper farmers battle effects of climate change. The details will come your way in a short while. To stay with us. Now, thanks for staying with us. Now, Nigeria's foremost Pan-African station, News Central Television, held a road campaign in Lagos connecting with grassroots communities while sharing gifts and spreading excitement. News Central's Igbalani Yomoni captured the vibrant reactions of Lagosians as they discovered more about what sets a News Central apart from other broadcasting stations.
We're live on the bustling streets of Lagos as host a road activation campaign to raise awareness and viewership of its platform on GoTV channel 23. And as you can see behind me, the activation is on.
The campaign taking place along the busy Oshodi CMS Aja corridor features interactive activities, lively discussions and giveaways.
So please tell me, how do you feel having this umbrella, this gift?
Good, I feel very happy.
Thank you, News Central. More blessing.
It has provided an opportunity for Lagosians to learn more about News Central TV's mission to bring news closer to the grassroots and to offer a platform for everyday people to share their stories.
News Central of my is audio tour, water.
I'm following one of my friends that do advertise about the channel on Twitter. So I'm following him. His name is I think Tony Morris. So I'm following him on Twitter. He's my friend on Twitter. That's how I got to know about the News Central. They are very open, and they give the platform to the young people to express themselves, and also talks about the current issue affecting this country presently. That's what I really like about it. I just pray that they will keep it up that way.
While engaging with Lagosians, the team is highlighting what sets News Central TV apart from other stations and the unique value viewers gain by tuning in.
We are making quality news accessible to all, not just the A-class, but of course to the grassroots, and that's why we're here today, and that's why we decided to launch on GoTV, to make sure that we're providing quality news and not propaganda news to everybody, from the A-class to the D-class. Everybody deserves to get access to quality news, so that is one of the things that makes us different.
At News Central TV, we believe that everyone has a story worth telling. We remain committed to telling authentic African stories and amplifying diverse voices across the continent. In Lagos for News Central, I love News Central! Igbalani Omani.
For generations, Ajiwa Dam in Katsina State was synonymous with thriving chili farms. Until now, climate change, deforestation and dying soils are forcing farmers like Abdulhamid Mizabura to face an unthinkable choice, which is abandoning their ancestral livelihood or starve. Our reporter Jamil Mubai investigates how smart agriculture and resilient crops could revive Ajiwa's fading chili empire. Here is this exclusive report.
For 35 years, Abdulhamid Mizabura has known only one way of life: chili pepper farming. Once the heartbeat of chili production in the state, his land now struggles to yield expected produce.
An waye gari tangande da muke alfahari da shi a wannan logon yau ya zanto baya. Ya ni shekara biyu ma ban sa tangande ba. Da bana da bara ko gindi ban dasa ma bane. Ka san ko a wannan logon ina ga da cikin manoma na wannan logon wanda suke samun amfanin gona na tattasai.
The soil, exhausted by climate change and deforestation, has turned against him.
Mu dai noman nan shi muka sani shine sana'a. To kuma ga sana'a ta mutane neman ta gagare mu saboda bai.
For the first time in his life, Mizabura is at a crossroads. Either he abandons his only livelihood or choose starvation.
Na barin wannan kogin mu ta wani kogi ni kaina yanzu ina da shawarwarin kila in raba noman rani na biyu in Allah ya kama lokacin da za a yi in ta wani kogi inda ake samu in yi ko in ta kasar kaita ko in ta kasar mashi ko in ta kasar mai aduwa ko in ta kasar daura.
My Zabura story is not unique. Thousands of families in Ajiwa depended on irrigation farming until now.
Mafi ɗan uwanmu wanda suke so abin ma ya ci musu so a kware so sun tafi. To ana haka masu ƙwazon yin ma za su iya bari. Kuma kaga abin yi zai ragu. Kannan nauyin mu ya ƙaru. Kannan ciyarwar mu ta iyalin mu ta ƙaru. Kuma samayyar da ake da abin ta ragu. Kannan ga tsada.
However, rampant tree cutting for firewood and uncontrolled erosion have stripped the land of its fertility. Lower yields mean less food and less income. But 25 kilometers away, there is hope. Agricultural experts say smart farming could be the lifeline Ajiwa farmers desperately need.
We use these tanks to pump the water through all these hoses so that it will supply the water to any places where we plant. These hoses were designed to make sure the water come in drops.
With real-time data, farmers like Maizabura could know exactly when to plant, water, or harvest, maximizing their shrinking resources.
We will reduce the impact of climate change and find a way so that we can have a better yield and improve varieties. Even in the rainy season farming, we have different kind of varieties that will stand this shortage of water.
Maizabura wants improved seedlings that are climate change resilient to revive his farming. Researchers like Bawali have started producing improved seedlings that feeds Maizabura's demand. From Katsina, for News Central, Jamil Mabai.
Well, during the course of the news, we told you that an historic farewell unfolded on Saturday in the Vatican City as tens of thousands of mourners gathered at the St. Peter's Square for the funeral of Pope Francis, the first Latin American leader of the Catholic Church, who has now been laid to rest. And so to give more perspective to this, I'm joined by Maroti Josiah Mashashane, who is the president of South African National Christian Forum in Ekenhof of southern part of Johannesburg, South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the news. Maroti, are you there?
I'm not sure if I'm audible.
Of course you are.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to have you around.
Us.
So I'd like you to help us understand the inclusivity and the compassion exhibited by the late Pope Francis. How does that portray his legacy among the Catholic and, of course, the Christian community?
Indeed, the Pope's legacy of inclusivity in the Catholic Church, it's likely to face challenges, but may also find some continued momentum, especially through his successor, even if the successor could maybe try to move away or towards the traditionalist approach, but the level, the framework which the Pope have laid will make it completely difficult to reverse from what he have laid. And we believe that the legacy, though obviously will not be exactly because each and every Pope who comes is having his own approach, but the framework that he have laid will make it impossible to simply reverse it.
And do you think that Pope Francis' Latin American background actually influenced his papacy and helped him reach out to different communities churches all over the world?
I did not get your question correctly. You
I actually
a little bit far.
Okay, sorry about that. I was actually asking about the background of Pope Francis being the first Latin American Catholic leader. If that was some sort of an influence for the different churches in various communities, and if that also helped him in attaining his position as a pontiff.
Correctly so. As you are aware that he became a priest back in 1969, and he became an archbishop back in 1998. And then obviously he took the papacy in 2013. We believe that his dedication to social justice was deeply rooted in the Latin American context, like you have mentioned. The regions where he grew up, which was of a history of inequality, poverty, and political upheaval, greatly have influenced his perspective. And it is for that reason that he decided to take a style of redressing the inequality and speaking for the marginalized because of the background where he is from. So indeed, it had a great influence to him.
Well, you just talked about the fact that you advocated for the welfare of the poor and the marginalized. How do you think that the Christian community can maintain these values and carry on in its footsteps?
Yeah, well, correctly so. The church should advocate or continue with the advocacy for the poor and marginalized by acting as a voice for the voiceless, challenging the systematic injustice and promoting, obviously, the policies that address the roots causes of poverty. Like we saw it from him, he never kept quiet, irrespective of who he had to face or to challenge. But he was always identified with the marginalized. We cannot be claim to stand for the poor or vulnerable if we keep quiet. So we need to stand up. We need to challenge any injustice, irrespective of where and which direction it comes off.
All right.
And furthermore, the church needed to empower the poor, even through education, job training, community development programs. In other words, we don't just advocate, but we also partake on addressing the inequality.
All right. Maroti, before I let you go, I'd like to find out what your perception is about the large turnouts at the late Pope Francis funeral, and how hopeful you are that probably an African might step into that role.
Yeah, well, indeed, I mean, looking at more than 250,000 mourners that have attended, and that on its own, like it has been emphasized repeatedly, that he was the people's pope. So you can see that he was very close to the people, and the people comes to him when obviously he needed them the most, or when they needed him, he was always there. So he was identified with the people. That is why the people also came in numbers because he followed the numbers of people, he assisted, he stood by the people, he was the Pope's people. And you can even look at his lifestyle. He never played to be a superior or a celebrity, if I may put it, but he came down to the level of the people. Hence, it is emphasized that he always identified himself with the marginalized. And it is for that reason that the turnout has become historic and has never been in the history of any.
Thank you so much, Maroti Josiah Mashishani, for sharing your thoughts with us. President of South African National Christian Forum. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Away from that now, the federal government says it is commencing efforts aimed at empowering young Nigerians with the launch of a new teenage talent hunt initiative. The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, made this known during the official flag-off ceremony of the program in Abuja, saying that the initiative will engage teenagers from across the country, helping to drive content development, talent scouting, and nationwide outreach with a strong focus on inclusivity and broad participation.
Partnership represents our commitment to empower the young people with and engage them by creating platforms that discover and grow their talents. The initiative agrees with our visions to engage young people in meaningful and impactful way. I am therefore happy to tell you that we are doing this to create a meaningful and a reality show that respects our value and culture as a country.
A program designed to assess the intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, and social quotient of our teenagers that are in SS3 and those yet to be admitted into the university.
We now go on our break. On the news, when we return, we'll tell you about the PCRC's for the first anniversary celebration. We'll tell you more. Stay with us. The Police Community Relations Committee commemorates its 41st anniversary with a road walk in Delta State, marking a significant milestone. The road walk show kicks off from the Summit Junction to the command headquarters in Asaba, demonstrating the organization's commitments to community development and peace advancements.
It's a young of blessed memory saw this desire to bring the police closer to the people. So the need to bring the community closer to the police. You will agree with me that Commissioner of Police will come and go. Area commanders will come and go. DPOs will come and go. But the community remains. And members of the community, they know the nooks and crannies. They know the good and the bad within that area. As such, we help the police to facilitate some things that we know that government on their own will not be able to do for them. We stand as bridging up that gap for them. We'll also see how we can also check for giving reliable information.
So on behalf of the command and State CID, I want to thank all of you for your selfless service, because this is a selfless work you people are doing. For you people to choose to organize yourselves and be attending to affairs of other human beings. What better service can be done than that?
The Baramatu Kingdom in Delta State has been immersed in festivities commemorating the Amasekumo Festival in Okporosa. The Amasekumo Festival is a revered 7-day heritage celebration held annually by the Ijos of Baramatu Kingdom in Warri Southwest Local Government Area. News Central's Biola Festus reports.
For 1 week, the people of Baramatu Kingdom gathered daily at the Okporosa Royal Pavilion to celebrate the Amasekumo Festival. an ancient ceremony dating back to 14 AD. According to long-standing tradition and belief, the Amasekumol festival, the most revered cultural event of the Baramatu people, is a season of revival, prosperity, and blessings.
It's very significant in the sense that it ushers in the traditional new year, a period of sober reflection, of spiritual reflection, of spiritual cleansing.
We always stress hand of fellowship to other kingdoms in maintaining peace. So our prayers to Niger Delta and the kingdom as a whole, the country as a whole, and to the president, we want to say, let the blessings of Amasekumol begin to go round.
It is a season eagerly anticipated by every indigene of Baramatu, serving as a platform for the Ijaw people to reconnect and celebrate their identity. Culture not only unites a people, but also serves as a marker of their identity, reflecting their unique heritage, traditions, and values.
I encourage every culture to live like, this is so beautiful, it's so fantastic, it's so like, I cannot just imagine what I'm seeing here today, just the thing of joy to see the unity happening here, see a culture come together and express themselves in their way, in their culture, and I can see me, I'm trying one of their rappers already.
At the end of the 7 days, the royal father, King Oborogbarao II, proclaims blessing upon the people, signaling the closure of the festival.
The Amasekumol anniversary is a shower of blessings, and we pray for everybody that it should be as a rain shower to everybody for a blessings that you will carry home.
It is believed that the blessings pronounced during the festival are sufficient to sustain the people until the next commemoration. In Delta for News Central, Biola Festus.
Right to Mali, where political parties have warned of a violation of the constitution, accusing the ruling military junta of seeking to dissolve political groups, as seen in neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger Republic. A 100-member coalition has demanded respect for political pluralism, stressing that any breach could have irreversible consequences. They called for the postponement of consultations on a new political charter, criticizing the junta for delaying its implementation since it was recommended at our 2022 national conference. Mali's political tensions have deepened since military coups in 2020 and 2021, with presidential elections postponed indefinitely in March 2024. The junta, which had previously suspended party activities citing security concerns, were urged to abandon plans that could further undermine democracy in the Sahel nation already battling jihadist violence. From other continents, we tell you that a surprise diplomatic moment unfolded on Saturday at the Vatican as U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met briefly on the sidelines of Pope Francis' funeral at St. Peter's Basilica. It marked their first face-to-face interaction since a tense White House meeting earlier this year. The two leaders, joined by their wives, were seated in the front row during the funeral ceremony, though separated by nearly a dozen world leaders. According to a statement from the Ukrainian presidency, the brief encounter led to an agreement to continue talks at a later date. Tensions between the two have remained high since February 28, when Trump, alongside Vice President J.D. Vance, reportedly scolded Zelensky during a heated Oval Office exchange, accusing him of showing a lack of gratitude for the billions in U.S. military aid sent since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. In business, Nigeria is moving from concessional and commercial external funding towards domestic revenue mobilization. This is according to Finance Minister Wale Edun, and he made the comment after the 2025 IMF and World Bank's meetings in Washington, D.C. Edun said Nigeria is prioritizing tax reforms and asset optimization over borrowing. He noted the country has cut its IMF debt by 87.5% over 2 years, with full repayments expected by mid-2025. The Tinubu administration strategy is to attract private sector investments into sectors like infrastructure and digital services to drive economic growth and stability, moving away from reliance on external borrowings. Nigeria's electricity sector is facing renewed turmoil as Geregu Power and Transcorp Power owe gas suppliers a combined 216 billion naira, risking further generation collapse. In Q1 2025, debts rose by 19.7%, that is 19.7 billion naira rather, fueled by underpayments from the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company and sector inefficiencies. Geregu Power's revenue dropped 37%, while Transcorp's grew 55%. Yet, both suffer liquidity stress. Geregu raised 14 billion naira in loans to stay afloat, while Transcorp's cash reserves plunged. With unpaid receivables mounting and gas suppliers unpaid, industry leaders warn of possible Genco shutdowns without urgent reforms and financing solutions. We now bring you sports stories. To stay with us.
And in sports, time shows progress as she continues to work towards reclaiming her position among the world top hurdlers. And now to badminton. President of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria, Francis Obi, has been elected into the Badminton World Federation Council. The election was held during the BWF annual general meeting on Saturday, the 26th of April in Xiamen, China. Obi secured victory over rivals from other African nations and will serve alongside Cameroon's Odette Azembe Ngulu. Zimbabwe's Chipo Zumbrani and Egypt's Aida El Said missed out. Obi expressed gratitude to global badminton leaders and the Nigerian government, particularly the National Sports Commission, for their support. And now to basketball. The Nigerian Basketball Federation is intensifying preparations for the Tigers ahead of the 2025 Afro Basket Championship in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire from 26th of July to the 3rd of August. Following the tournament draw, NBET Vice President Babs Ogunade revealed plans for a training camp in Abuja and a three-nation tournament featuring Nigeria and 2 other undisclosed teams. Ogunade emphasized the Federation's focus on early and quality preparations, including appeals for timely release of funds and possible overseas camping. The NBBF aimed to ensure the Tigers are fully ready as they chase a record extending 5th consecutive Afro Basket title with top players eager to represent Nigeria. And now to football. Ghana Football Association President Court Edwin Simeon Okraku has been appointed second Vice President of the Confederation of African Football, marking a historic move for West African leadership. The decision, ratified at a CAF Executive Committee meeting in Accra, signals greater regional balance and inclusivity under President Patrice Motsepe. Okraku's leadership reforms in Ghana's football, emphasizing professionalization and transparency, position him for this key role. His appointment addresses previous concerns over Anglophone underrepresentation in African football governance. Meeting in Ghana added symbolic weight to his ascendancy as second vice president. Okraku is now set to help shape major policies ensuring Anglophone and West African interests are better represented in CAF's drive towards a more unified future. And to wrap up sports update, Chelsea moved closer to Champions League qualification with a narrow 1-0 win over Everton on Saturday at Stamford Bridge. Nicholas Jackson ended his 13-game goal drought, netting his 10th goal of the season to secure a crucial victory for Enzo Maresca's side. The result placed Chelsea 5th in the Premier League after Newcastle defeated Ipswich. Despite criticism over conservative tactics, Maresca's team now have a strong chance of a top 5 finish with 4 games remaining. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itua.
That's all at this hour, but before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. Thousands converge on St. Peter's Square as Pope Francis is laid to rest. 19 killed in Zamfara gold mine attack amid growing violence from bandit gangs. Political parties in Mali warn of a violation of the constitution, accusing the ruling military junta of seeking to dissolve political groups, as seen in neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. Do send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Likon Onobanjo.